So I was thinking about Star Wars
Out by
recently,
Riverside,
and I was
Montana.
thinking about a few aspects of Star Wars that kind of really don't get brought up, or they get brought up in a very limited and a very narrow, very human centric type way. Um, a few of the things I've been thinking about with Star Wars is like sexuality, race, about relationships, and I mean this sounds like, I mean, things that are talked about, and they are, but they're not talked about in the way that they should be in the context of Star Wars. I mean, when people talk about race and sexuality and relationships in Star Wars, they pretty much are talking about just humans. They're talking about having, more gay people, more black people, more human minorities, and that I mean, in a franchise like Star Wars, that's just so fucking limited. It's so simple minded. It's so small and narrow minded of a view. Like you have a universe that I didn't even know this till recently. There are apparently 20 million species or different races in Star Wars, apparently, and then that's just not even assuming the endless number of unknown races out there that haven't been, technically made or discovered yet. So I mean, you're talking about a universe that is just teeming with endless types of life forms. I mean, we got from Wookiees to Jawas to Ewoks to, fucking what's his name? The what was he at Forearms? The guy that owned the diner and and the prequels that Obi Wan's friends with. Like, I mean, you have just an endless plethora of different races and species, and the discussion never is really about like diversity in the sense of having non-human characters as like the focal point of Star Wars, or like making them the focal point, because I mean, when you really think about it, Star Wars, beyond whether it's been a white person or a black person, by and large, Star Wars has been a very human centric story, despite taking place in a galaxy far, far away with all of these different types of creatures and species and races out there. Like, you would think humans would just be a very small aspect of a grander universe. Like, I mean, yeah, they would have their colonies and their planets and their civilizations, and you would have, your rulers and your famous humans, but you wouldn't think that they would just be front and center. I mean, it makes sense because I don't think you're going to really find any franchise that's going to have just humans as not the main center point, because there is that connection. Like, people, and as much as people love sci-fi and fantasy, they do like that similarity, that familiarity of having people and humans. It just kind of adds that relatability. For some reason, people and a lot of developers and a lot of creators have this mindset that, like, if you have a non-human as the main character, or you don't have humans as the main characters or the focal point, that people can't connect to them, which is fucking stupid. I mean, hell, I mean, we've seen that with Marvel. I mean, Marvel, among other franchises and properties, have shown that. I mean, Rocket Raccoon is one of the most beloved characters. For some people, he's the best character in the MCU, far from being a human. So, like, the idea that you need to have human characters is like the focal point in Star Wars, or like in any media, I think is just very just it's very just narrow minded, very simplistic, and it's just very. I wouldn't know if you call it like projecting, but like it seems like people kind of have this idea that, like, in order for a story to connect with people and for people to like it and invest in characters, by and large, I mean, that's not to say that people can't like connect to their characters. I mean, people love Chewbacca, people love R2D2, C3PO, but there has been that long running idea, and you'll notice this in almost any type of medium, whether it's comics, whether it's manga, whether it's movies, whether it's shows, whether it's short films. You'll very rarely see an IP or any type of project where it's just strictly aliens or non-humans, and either humans aren't in the show at all or in the project, or it's just like nothing but just aliens and non-humans. It's not impossible. I mean, obviously, there are a good amount of projects out there that have that, but by and large, there's more of them that often do have people than they don't have people. I mean, even like video games. I mean, you look at the Star Wars video games. I don't know if there's been a Star Wars video game that has not featured a human as the main character. I mean, there might be, but as far as I can think of, uh, the new games have humans. The old games, I mean, yeah, you could play as like Grievous and Aya Sakura and Darth Maul. Well, hell, Darth Maul's a human character, but like you get the point. Like you could play as like Yoda, Chewbacca. You could play as like I think you could play as Wookiee, like generic Wookiees in like one of the old Battlefront games. But nonetheless, you still were like pretty much playing as a human, like, either a trooper, either Jedi, a Sith. Nonetheless, it's still a person. But what I was thinking about with race and with relationships and with sexuality in Star Wars, that's really not touched on. I mean, the Disney Star Wars has kind of touched on it. I mean, obviously, it's Disney. They're not gonna. We're never gonna have like a full on R-rated Star Wars project where they're gonna be just outwardly fucking with just random aliens and shit like that. Like we're not gonna see like a full on steam brothel of just random hot alien chicks fucking. Like that's just not gonna happen. But they kind of have teased like non-human centered relationships. Like now the one that they did was not the best. Like they had in Solo, the movie, the prequel, the Han Solo prequel. They had Lando have like a kind of a weird relationship with that robot, which was an atrocious character. So like they've kind of touched on this, but like what I was wondering is, and what I think would be kind of cool is we have this universe of millions of different alien races and species. Like it's not even likely. You would have like this universe would be populated with the most like insane, freakish looking hybrids. Because like there's no way that you're going to tell me in a universe of this many millions of species that there is not cross fucking happening. And we know that's not the case because when we see Leia, she's like pretty much a sex slave to Jabba the Hutt, which I don't even know how does that work. Like, because like I mean, it's I mean, yeah, it's implied she's pretty much like a sex slave to Jabba the Hutt, and that's been kind of portrayed of other Hutts of them keeping like attractive alien or human chicks as like slaves, but they're like slugs. Like, did they even have like cocks or anything? I don't know. Okay, that's one thing that Star Wars could probably do without explain. I don't. God, yeah, we don't need to see a fucking hut cock. But beyond that, like there is the foundation for there being like interracial, not even interspecies relationships. And I think it'd be kind of cool to see like different types of hybrid races, which I don't think I might be wrong about this, but I don't think we've seen a lot of that. Like, I mean, we could have like I don't know a fucking Ewok and a Wookiee crossbred with like that mate has like a kid with a human, and then that makes like another like a whole other race like sub race of like a Wookiee, Jawa, Ewok, human hybrid. Like you could do like a lot with that, and I feel like in Star Wars media, we really don't see a lot of that. Obviously, I'm not saying you have to go into like the like fucking full on porn or some shit of like showing like all these different races fucking or anything like that, but like just to show like the kind of interspecies diversity and just like interesting relationships and like subspecies and sub races and cultures you could have. Because I mean, you look at our own world, and there are so many different subcultures that have been born from crossbreeding of different races and different religions, different regions, different parts of the country, different parts of the world, and how like people that have relationships and then have kids and then they have their own you know different religion and their own different culture from their own. It just like makes this branching deal of like people having different cultures and like one person they have on one side, they might be Irish, they have Irish heritage, but then they have African American heritage, but then they have like a little bit of Scottish heritage, and then they have like within all three of them their own kind of interesting mix of like a melting pot of cultures where they have their own thing. And I think it'd be kind of cool to see that in Star Wars, where like you see different types of races and species that like have like are different, not like different, but like are not really that like in tune with like their natural race. Like you have like a half Wookiee who's not really deemed as being a Wookiee because like I don't know they're like a technically part human and part Wookiee, so like they're kind of looked at as being inferior to like an actual Wookiee because they don't have the natural strength, the natural the pretty much like what the Wookiees would deem as like the peak best attributes of Wookiees, and they see them as like being partially of an inferior race or an inferior Wookiee because to them they have inferior traits or genes of like being a human, and then vice versa. Like you could have humans look at a part Wookiee, part human, and see them as being like a monstrous, hideous, like being like a fucking freak, and want nothing to do with them. And you could have like like is it Twi'leks? I think yeah, you could have like a Twi'lek which is like mixed with another alien race, and like they're kind of exiled from their group or from their natural Twilight clan or family because they're not like fully a Twilight. I think that'd be kind of cool. Like I think that you could explore. I mean, especially since I mean, obviously nowadays, Star Wars has tried to delve into racial politics just a little bit, obviously, and then like they've tried to explore gay relationships in a very tokenistic way. But I feel like you could do a lot more with this. Like I think this is one of the problems I think I've had so much with people and even Disney with controlling Star Wars is that they look at sexuality and they look at race and they look at relationships as just like human centric. Like we have a black person, and we have a Chinese person, and we have the first female person. It's like I mean, yeah, that's cool and all, I guess, but it's like honestly, in Star Wars, in a franchise or a universe like Star Wars, I'm not really interested in just seeing an overabundance of humans, regardless of what fucking color they are. I don't care if they're magenta, if they're pink, if they're turquoise, if they're onyx black. We, they don't need to be there. Like we've seen enough of them. I mean, God knows we've seen enough of fucking bloodlines of humans from the fucking Skywalkers and the fucking Palpatines and every other fucking bloodline in Star Wars. So like we've had our fill of having humans and humans as being the main heroes, main bad guys, and I mean obviously we've had non-humans that have been good guys. Guido's one that come to mind. The Hutts, Grievous, among others. But like it seems like by and large, like when you really lay out the landscape of like the core cast of characters, the pretty important characters, by and large they are human. Like you got Luke Skywalker, you got Han Solo, you got Ray, unfortunately. You got you got Anakin. You got Palpatine. Like the list just goes on and on of characters that are humans that are like the main characters. And I mean, obviously, you got characters like Yoda there, which I mean that's also another thing. Speaking about different races and whatnot, like I think it'd be kind of cool to explore. Like I don't know what is Yoda. Is he? Because Grogu is a Yoda. Because I mean, there real. I'm sure there has to be. I'm gonna have to look this up later, but I'm sure there is like an actual race of Yodas. But because in the prequels there was the other Yoda, the female Yoda. That I don't even think she said anything. She just like showed up. It's like when they're doing the council when Mace Windu and all of them are there. Like we see her there. She doesn't really do anything. She's just there, and I don't even think she's ever acknowledged really or says anything. I don't even think she has a fucking name really in the movie. I think you have to look at the credits to even figure out what her name is. But she is there, and I presume she gets killed in Order 66. But like there are like other Yodas out there, because we got Grogu, who's like the poster child now of Yodas. It'd be kind of cool because, well, hell, I guess. Wait, now I'm thinking about. Wasn't like Yoda's race like were they like killed or something like hundreds of years ago? I don't know. But like I don't know because like well wait Grogu. Well, because Grogu because I haven't really watched a whole lot of Mandalorian, so I don't know if they go into like how he's a thing. Because I mean because Mandalorian takes place after Order 66. It takes place after no, it takes place after the original Star Wars series. So like it takes place, I think it's like in the aftermath of the fall of the Empire when Vader's been been killed or died and Palpatine's been killed. For now, actually not dead, but quote unquote dead for the meantime until he shows up some fucking how through Sith sorcery and the Rise of Skywalker. That fucking, oh my god. Anyways, but nonetheless, the fact that you have Grogu, like, I don't know if they go into like who his parents are or like where he comes from, but I mean, that'd be kind of cool, like exploring like the different Yodas and exploring the different types of their religions. Because I mean, Yoda, I don't know, it's just kind of weird that he like out of all the races, like Yoda, like that's how we reference like, cause with Wookiees we don't call them just Chewbacca, like we actually know the race of what Chewbacca is, like we know what he is. Like even Jabba, like we know Jabba is a Hutt, and we know like we know other races. But when it comes to Yoda, it is kind of funny how like people just refer to Yoda's race as just Yoda, because like they're so obscure and so little is known about them that people don't even know what the fuck your name is. Like people either call Yoda's either Yoda or Grogu, because I remember when I first saw The Mandalorian, I was the trailer. I was so confused because I thought that Grogu was actually Yoda, and I didn't know who I thought Mando was. But I was like, wait, so this is like a prequel to like the original Star Wars? And like I learned that no, this is actually a different Yoda, or this is like a different not Yoda, and has nothing really to do with Yoda, or maybe he does, because like I said, I haven't watched all the Mandalorian, so maybe they explain like if he has a connection to Yoda. But as far as I'm aware, as far as I've seen, he does not have any type of like connection to Yoda. But I could be wrong about that. Like yeah, even like the Yodas, like you could do something like imagine a fucking Ewok, Jawa Yoda mix like that. God damn, that would look kind of fucking wild. Like be like a green goblin with a fucking brown hood on and like fur. That actually look like a fucking gremlin or some shit. Like it'd almost be like a cross between the gremlins and an orc and like a fucking Jedi almost. Because the Jedi's always wear the brown cloaks. That'd be actually kind of a wild combination. And imagine if like that was like a Jedi or something. Like you have a hybrid Ewok Jawa Yoda creature as like a force sensitive wielding Jedi or Sith. That would be cool. Like hell, that'd be something I'd be interested in seeing. I think that it'd be something different than we've normally seen. Like the stuff like that. Like I feel like Star Wars should like kind of indulge more into that. Like it should lean more into that. Like I mean, we don't know what's going to happen with. I don't even think Disney knows what's going to happen with Star Wars going forward. But like, I think it would be kind of cool, and this won't happen. I highly doubt this will happen because they're already talking about Rey being the center, the center of the new films. When and if they get made, at this point, we don't even know if there is going to be another Star Wars movie for who knows when. But like I would like and I would hope that at some point in the future, after maybe Disney has killed Star Wars once again pretty much, that maybe we will get a chance of moving away from humans, moving away from Skywalkers and Palpatines and Obi-Wans and all of them, and actually kind of centering on non-human characters like the front and center, like not as like supporting characters, not just kind of there on the side, not like a companion, like not like Chewbacca, not like a supporting role like Yoda, but like actually to make like a Luke Skywalker, Ray type level character who is the main character and is like pretty much like the poster child of Star Wars, like while they are in the prime of that era of Star Wars. I think it'd be kind of cool. Like, and also, like I was saying, like it'd be kind of cool to kind of go into like interspecies relationships and like the politics of it, like how do different cultures react to having like different not sub like mixed races apparently, essentially like mixed races. Like how do they kind of fit into societies? Are they kind of outcasted from certain societies? Are they looked more highly on because they're like looked as like the best of both? Like, is it a kind of desire to have like a cross between two different species because it can make a better one? Like, you take two different species, and when you make a kid from them, like they're more powerful or they have like more abilities than they do like just separately. Like, there's a lot you could do with that, and I think there's so much with Star Wars, like especially with like there being, and also like even though there's like 20 million, like that's just kind of wild. There's 20 million. I guess it's not really, but like I said, like yeah, that the 20 million, like there's 20 million, and that's not even counting the however many other aliens and out there in the universe that could be made up. Like, there's so much you could do with it, and the thing I just I've kind of been burned out with, among other things, with Star Wars is just, it just doesn't seem to utilize or really take advantage of like how much they have to work with. Like they're so limited. Like in Star Wars, like in Disney, and even the creator. Well, I guess Disney, they pretty much like dictate what happens in Star Wars. But like the creatives in charge of Star Wars, Disney, vice versa. You get the point. Like they just seem to be just focused on like a very limited, very narrow part of the Star Wars universe where there's so much of it you could work with. Like there's so much you could do, and they just don't utilize on it. I don't know. Maybe I'm just kind of out there on this, but I feel like it would be kind of cool to kind of delve into the interspecies politics and relationships and dynamics that exist outside of humans. Like imagine if we had a trilogy of Star Wars films that had no humans in it, and it was just like on other planets that we haven't seen before. And it was just like dealing with the inner politics of other species and like their backgrounds, their cultures, their religions, their beliefs, their power systems, their militaries, the interplanetary politics. Like there's a lot you could do. And I mean, yeah, I know that like, politics in Star Wars can be a bit fucking redundant and a bit fucking dull, as we saw with some of the prequels. But I mean, a little bit of a hot take. I kind of like I know the prequels have kind of been post rehabilitated since the Disney era of Star Wars, but like even before the Disney Star Wars films kind of made the prequels look better, I actually like the prequels a bit. I mean, hell, I like Jar Jar Binks, and most people don't even like him. I mean, that's another one. Fuck. Speaking of Jar Jar, what I forgot what he is. Like, what his Gundam is? It? I think he's a Gundam. Gundam, not a Gundam from the fucking mechas, but a Gundam. Whatever, you get the point. What his race is. Like, it'd be kind of cool to delve into his race. Like, you would think like or wonder like with Jar Jar, like would his race be kind of look like a down on or like persecuted or kind of oppressed or kind of maybe even hunted because they look at him and they look at Jar Jar and they're like, this fucking guy caused for Palpatine to be given supreme power and fucking torment and fucking terrorize the galaxy. Like fuck your race of people, like your race of alien, like like things like that. Like that'd be kind of cool. How and if would there be any type of prejudice or racism against the gun like Jar Jar's race because they kind of connect him to them to gun to Jar Jar even though they didn't have anything to do with it, like things like that. You could do so much with stuff like that. Like that, I didn't even think, I just thought about that. That'd be kind of cool actually, just to kind of see like if there would be any type of fallout from something like that. But yeah, I don't know. I was just kind of rambling, just something I thought about, just because like I was saying, it's kind of interesting to think about, like because you see all the different races that we just the main popular ones, and you see like what has been done with them. Like there has been a lot of interesting stories with the non-human Star Wars characters. Not to say that it's been strictly just mostly human dominated, but it kind of has though. Like by and large, it's been just humans being the main characters, ruling the galaxy. Like, has there really been like a Palpatine like character that was like that ruled the galaxy that was not like a human, like a Palpatine or a Vader or a Maul? I mean, I guess you could say maybe Grievous, but Grievous really didn't rule the galaxy. Like he was just kind of like a lieutenant. Like really, like, he really wasn't like in control of the universe. Like I mean, I know the Hutts are powerful. Like I know the Hutts. I mean, that's something else. Like the Hutts are. That's actually kind of fascinating. Like the Hutts are like really powerful politically in the Star Wars universe, but they're fucking overweight, 600 pound my 600 pound life slugs that can't move. They're completely immobile. They have no fighting ability. As far as I'm aware, not a single Hutt is forcing so it's not even like they have like insane powers that they can use to like control or like force their will on the universe. They're just overweight slugs that can't do shit, and somehow they like have insane amounts of political power in the universe. Like that'd be kind of interesting to kind of really delve into that. Like I know shows like Mandalorian and things like that have kind of explored it, but there's so much more you could do with that. That'd be kind of interesting to kind of see like the inner workings of like how the Hutts really come to power. Like how do they sustain power? Like how do they retain power? How do other races not just fucking take them out and take their place, which should happen pretty frequently since Hutts are like probably one of the most useless and most vulnerable species out there. I mean, they literally can't do anything. Like they have to be moved by servants. Like they can't. I don't even know if like a hut has really moved on their own. No, I take that back. I forgot the comic. There was one comic where a hut like was kind of like not like a bounty hunter, but I remember he had like a gun or something that he would use. So like maybe they're not entirely useless, but by and large, like huts are fucking useless. They can't do anything. They're immobile. They don't have any powers. They don't have any abilities. You could easily take one out. Like I mean, fucking Leia choked the fuck out of Jabba, you know. So it's not like they're the most hard, most difficult thing to do. Like it's not hard to kill one. So it's kind of interesting, like how this race of essentially of useless slugs somehow dominates the universe politically across the galaxy. Like you could do some of that. Like it'd be kind of cool to have like a Hut series that's to kind of like focus on that. You know, I don't know. Maybe I'm just fucking just out there on this, but I don't know. I think there's something there with it. I think you could do a lot with it that Disney could really utilize on. But with that said, I think I'm gonna wrap this up here, and I'm gonna call it a day, and see you good people later.